Very good afternoon, everyone. So, in this class, we'll discuss with the further part of module 1. Okay, this current slide is visible to everyone, right? Can somebody please? Yes, you can unmute it and you can speak up. My voice is audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, this slide is also visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. So, these are the remaining types of cement what we are going to study today. So in the previous class, we have discussed various types of cements, that is air entering cement, colored cement, and then hydrophobic cement, masonry cement. And with respect to continuation part of this, we'll study the few more types of cements are there. We'll study the main property of those and why they need in the construction part and what are the major roles of these. So here the name only indicates that the expansion cement. So expansion in the sense the change in its volume. So that is because of the present cement content, what it is going to happen in the construction parts, right? So this concrete that made with the ordinary Portland cement that shrinks while setting due to a loss of free water. So that means what? So when you react water, I mean when you add water to the cement, so after the hydration process, what it happens, it is going to shrink, means whatever the original volume will be there of the cement, which is going to change a little bit, means the concrete which is going to shrink when that water content will get evaporate after the hydration process, right? So for that, that concrete also shrinks continuously for long time, and this is known as drying shrinkage. So here whatever you add the water to the cement part, right? So the cement and water mixtures will be there. So in that, after the hydration process, this water which will be dried, I mean which will get evaporate, else it's mixed with the cement and it forms the hydration, and then the presence of water will not be there during the longer period. So that time what it happens, this entire volume of the concrete which will be reduced, right? So after the reduction, what it happens might be the load carrying capacity may reduces, or else the cracks may get appears. So because of various reasons will be there, depends upon the structures. So to overcome this strings and all, the additive materials have been used so that this concrete will get fit into a particular volume or structures without any shrinkage. So the cement that is used for the grouting of anchor bolts or the grouting machine foundations, or the cement used in grouting process. So here they have given three times as grouting. So first I will make you clear what is grouting. So here grouting in the sense, you are connecting two structural members. For example, in the prefabricated structures, I said so many construction structural members like columns, beams, everything it is prepared in factory itself. Only the thing is, those structural members they will bring from the factory and then they will fit here. Here, I mean they will joint here. So while jointing, they will be having certain connections. For example, after the column, you are going to place the beam, right? So for that, certain joints will be there. For example, nut and bolt connection. So once you fit with a nut and bolt connection, whatever the gap will get retained, so that gap it is filled by this grouting material. So that gap which is filled by some additives, that process only we can call it as grouting. So while grouting, we can use these types of the expansive cement, clear? And the pre-stressed concrete ducts, if that is shrinks, the purpose of which the grout is used will be the some extent and defeated, clear? So whatever the change in the volume, if it shrinks or if it decreases, to bring that one to the normal volume size, they are going to add this expensive cement. So the main advantage of this cement will be which will give the proper shape without wherever that shrinkage may get appears. And then here cement which suffers no overall change in the volume on drying, which is known as the expansive cement. So here with respect to various aspects, like even environmental aspects you can take, even the less content of the water, and even because of drying, sudden heat. So many changes, I mean so many factors will get effect while the shrinkage process. So in that, which should get satisfied with all the conditions, like the less in water content, or the during the sunlight, or else because of shrinkage process. So to overcome this all, we are going to add a particular cement. That cement only we can call it as expansive cement. So here cement of this type has been developed by using the expanding agent and a stabilizer very carefully. So here they are going to add certain additives which are good in expanding in its nature. So they are called expanding agent and even the stabilizer. So stabilizer is also a material so that is used to expand. I mean that stabilizer will be having the main property of expanding in its nature. And proper material and controlled proportioning which are very necessary in order to obtain the desired expansion. So you don't expect that whatever the percentage you take, it is going to expand. No, certain percentage and limitations will be there. So only that much percentage you can add that expansive agent, such that how much it is going to expand on, I mean shrinks, only that much it is going to expand at the later stage. Clear? So once you add more, what it happens, it expands more than the desired one, and then which is going to disturb the adjacent structural members, and again the cracks may get appears within the structure. So the proper proportion and controlled proportion which are very necessary when we use this expansive cement, I mean when we manufacture this expansive cement. So basically around 8 to 20 parts of the sulfo-aluminate clinkers which are mixed with 100 parts of the Portland cement. So here what they are telling, 8 to 20 parts, in the sense you can consider with respect to the percentage. For 100 percentage they are going to take around 8 to 20 percentage of the sulfo-aluminates, that is rich in SO3 as well as aluminate, Al, right? And they are mixed with 100 parts of the Portland cement. So this expansive cement that manufactured by adding this sulfo-aluminate clinker with the Portland cement and 15 parts of the stabilizer, and along with this they are going to add 15 percentage of the stabilizers, I mean the expansive agent what we can call. And since the expansion takes place only so long as the concrete is moist, the curing must be carefully controlled. The use of expanding cement that requires skill and experience. So here to add this expensive cement, we should have certain design concepts. So only as per the design concepts, we need to add that much percentage of the stabilizers or this expansive cement in the concrete. So because so whenever it reacts with the water, again it is going to expand. So proper curing has to be maintained for this. Okay, and then the next type of cement, that is IRS T40. So basically this particular cement which is used in railway sleeper constructions. Okay, so this IRS which stands for Indian Railway Standards. Okay, so this T40 is a code name. Basically that one they have made for this special grade cement. Okay, so this IRS T40, that is a code of cement basically used in manufactured as per the specification that is laid by Ministry of Railways under IRST 40 in the year of 1985. Okay, so this is a special type of cement. Mainly they have used in the concrete sleepers. So concrete sleepers means what? Here they are the two railway tracks. Okay, basically in civil engineering terms we call it as rails. Okay, these are the two rails, and whatever the horizontal members they are going to place in between these. This is one horizontal member, and this is one more horizontal member. So depends upon the width and depends upon the distance between the two railway sleepers. They are going to place the ballast. I mean whatever the biggest aggregates you can see, no, that one we can call it as ballast. Okay, so here this special grade cement which is used to manufacture this member. Understanding? This member we can call it as railway sleeper. Okay, so this railway sleeper especially this is made by using this special grade of the cement. So in this special grade of the cement, a finely ground cement. So finely ground cement in the sense the size of the cement, I mean the grain size of the cement, which is too less than the ordinary Portland cement. Okay, so that is the fineness what we can call the size of the cement molecules. And here, which is very finely ground cement with high C3S, that is tricalcium silicate content, will be too high in this special grade cement because we need to get the high early strength, right? So this C3S, by adding this more percentage of C3S, the advantage will be heat of hydration will be more, one reason. And apart from this, one more reason will be it is going to get the high early strength. Okay, so basically this is required to manufacture the concrete sleepers for Indian Railways. Clear? And then this cement can also be used with advantage for other applications where the high early strength concrete is required. So this is not only it can used in railway sleepers, even it can be used in various other constructions where the high early strength which is required. Okay, and this cement it can be used for pre-stressed concrete. Means pre-stressed concrete in the sense these concrete structures which are constructed, I mean, at the factory, and then they are going to shift that one to the location. Okay, so there also they can use this special grade cement so that high early strength it can achieve, so that it helps in the transportation process and even for the erection process. So once if it get hardened and it achieved the required strength, then only we can move that one from one place to other place. So in such cases, they can utilize this special grade cement. And next, in this cement it can be used for pre-stressed concrete elements, and especially they are used in high-rise buildings where you require high strength concrete. Okay, and next type of cement will be oil well cement. So the name indicates oil well in the sense you have seen so many countries like Arab countries and all, they are having oil wells. So while construction of those oil wells, they are going to use this type of cement, that is oil well cement. So that Indian Standard Code specified with 8229 in the year of 1986. So these oil wells, they are drilled through the satisfactory sedimentary rocks through a great depth in search of oil. So where depends upon the location of the availability of the oil or gas, whatever you can consider. So they are going to dig that one up to a certain depth, so that after that certain depth they can obtain the gas or oils. Okay, so once they start extracting those oils, they are going to make several compartments as well as the chambers below the earth surface. Okay, so while construction of those chambers, this oil well cement is going to be helpful. So here it is likely that if oil is struck, or oil or gas, it may be escaped through the space between the steel casing as well as the rock formation. So here you can't expect that which type of nature is there below the earth surface. You can refer this diagram. So this is oil well tank, I mean the process how they are going to extract the oil. So here it's just for the general purpose, just understand the concept why they require oil well cement. These diagrams and all they won't ask in the exams, just for your understanding purpose I am showing you this. So here this oil well cement, I mean once they dig this particular portion where they start getting oil or gas, and then they are going to insert a certain chambers to get this particular oil or gas. Okay, so that time what it happens, so this chamber whatever they are going to provide till here, so in some cases the gas it may come out of the chambers also, right? So like this, so it may get escape from these particular portions. So here rocks will be there, so within these rock surfaces also the gas or oil, so where the space will be available for air or liquid, it is going to occupy. That is the general principle. So depends upon that only which is going to travel from this place to this place, right? So to overcome that, they are going to provide a protecting layers for this, such that this oil and gases, it should not penetrate within the structures, or it should not get waste to the other part. Okay, that's the main reason behind using this oil well cement. And here the cement slurry, which is used to seal of the annual space between the steel casing as well as the rock strata, and also to seal off any other fissures or cavities. Fissures are nothing but the cracks or cavities in the sedimentary rock layers. And here the cement slurry has to be pumped into the position. So here what you need to do, once you start getting the oil or gas from the particular portions, so that time you need to start penetrating the cement paste within that layer. So there, this particular cement slurry has to be pumped into that particular positions at the considerable depth where the prevailing temperature may be up to 175 degrees Celsius. So below the earth temperature, it will be more than the whatever the temperature is there above the earth, right? So at a certain depth, the temperature which is going to increase up to 175 degrees Celsius. So that's the place, I mean, that much depth we need to penetrate. So where we'll get the strata, I mean, a place where we need to stop penetrating or start digging. So at that particular place or the location, the temperature will be 175 degrees Celsius. So during that temperature, we need to place this oil cement, I mean oil well cement, right? So there the pressure which is required, it may go up to 1300 kg per centimeter square. We need to place some additional force or pressure to this cement paste just to penetrate within that earth surface, right? So here the slurry, it should be remain sufficiently mobile in the sense it should be too liquid in its state. Okay, so to be able to flow under these conditions up to several hours and then harden fairly rapidly. So it's nothing but what, until and unless it should reaches that particular depth of the excavation or drilling place, it should be mobile in its nature, means it should be liquid in its state. So then only it can penetrate until that depth of the excavation. So if it is not reached there properly, they can provide certain additional pressures up to 1300 kg per centimeter square what they have given, and they can penetrate that cement paste within the excavated structures. Okay, and it may also have resist to corrosive conditions, because that corrosive conditions, as you all know, that it may affect from sulfur content, either it may be present in the gases or else the waters containing the dissolved salts. So here you can't expect that even the water table also it may reaches here. So that time when this water touches this particular layer which is constructed by cement paste or else oil well cement, so that time this water containing sulfur or some, what we can say, okay, some waters and which contain some dissolved salts. So because of that, again, it may get damages, I mean the corrosions may takes place by reacting with the water which is there in the ground level. Okay, and the type of cement which is suitable for the above conditions is known as oil well cement. So to overcome these all aspects whatever we have discussed now, that one it should be sealed with a particular cement, that name only we can call it as oil well cement. So here the desired properties of oil well cement that can be obtained in two ways. The first one is by adjusting the compound compositions of cement or by adding retarders to the ordinary Portland cement. The main reason is it should be free from corrosion, means it should not affect anything by reacting with the water, especially it containing some dissolved salts. That's the one reason, right? And then this oil, it should be movable easily. It should start moving easily without any additional aspects, right? So for that we need to add either retarders or else we need to maintain certain compositions in the manufacturing process. Okay, either we can add retarders to the, retarders are nothing but these are the additives or chemical admixtures which can increase the workability properties of the concrete. Next, these retarding agents that prevent quick setting and retains the slurry in mobile conditions. So you have seen different types of the cement. Soon after adding water within a particular time period, I mean the less time period, it will get set, right? So, but these types of the cements, what it can do, I mean these retarding agents, that is going to prevent that quick setting, and even it get retains that slurry or cement paste, it should reaches that bottom place. So until and unless it should be mobile in its nature or workable in its nature, right? So that we can prevent that particular structures, that is oil well, which should be free from cracks as well as the gaps within the structures, I mean the cavities, what we can call. Next, ready set cement. So here ready set cement, which is a new product which is much needed for use in the precast concrete industry, and even for rapid repairs of concrete roads and the pavements. So here ready set cement in the sense, nowadays the so much of technologies have been improved there. These types of the cements which is going to set at the earliest time, correct? And there the availability of resources also which were less in some cases, in that time also we can use this ready set cement. Okay, where they can use this ready set cement, they can use for the rapid repairs in the sense within a short period of time that repair work should be finished, because that particular place or locations it should be much useful for society or some other things. So to overcome those repair aspects, we cannot use the ordinary portland cement or some other type of the cement. That work has to be finished as quick as possible. So during that cases we can use this ready set cement. Okay, that like the rapid repairs of the concrete roads and even the pavements we can use there, and even for slip forming where the time and strength relationship was important. So here not only we need to think with respect to time. Yes, soon after adding the concrete in the repair works, it should get set within 1 hour and all. So in 1 hour, whatever we are going to expect the setting time, it should be equally. We should give importance to the strength aspect also. We should get strength also within that particular time. So we need to think over strength as well as the setting time also. And here in PCA laboratories, they are in USA, right? So PCA is nothing but the product conformity assessment, right? So there, several investigations were conducted for developing a cement which could yield high strength in matters of hours. Means within a short period of time, it should achieve the maximum strength. So like that, they have done the several trial and errors by adding some more other materials, and they have given, they are trying to find out the results on this ready set cement. Okay, initially that red set cement was the result of the investigation. So whatever in USA they have done the investigation, so that name they have given as red set cement, right? So but the Associated Cement Company of the India, which is developed an equivalent cement by name ready set cement. Okay, just they have given the name in our Indian country as ready set cement, whereas in the initial investigation that name has been given like red set. Okay, and then high alumina cement, the name only indicates that high alumina, this content of alumina, of course it will be higher in this type of cement. Okay, so high alumina cement which is obtained by fusing or sintering a mixture that is in suitable proportions, that too by of alumina and then calcareous materials. So calcareous materials are nothing but the limestones and all. So limestones, alumina, that is Al, as well as the calcareous materials like limestone, which is rich in calcium oxide. Okay, and grinding the resultant product of a fine powder. Now it's limestone which reacts with this alumina and that forms high alumina cement. Okay, here the raw materials used for the manufacture of high alumina cements, they are limestone. As I said, it is calcium oxide, and then the bauxite, the one more term, oxide, which is rich in aluminum, right? And then these raw materials with the required proportion of the coke, which were charged into the furnace. So here coke is the fuel material that can be used to provide certain heat in the furnace. So the furnace is fired with the pulverized coal or oil with a hot air blast. So it should achieve around certain percentage like 1000 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius. So that one it can be achieved by using this coke as the fuel material. So now the fusion takes place at a temperature of about 1550 to 1600 degrees Celsius. So here the process is going to like this limestone and cement is maintained in a liquid state in the furnace. So here in the furnace whatever they are going to achieve, so here after providing the heat it should form in the liquid state. Okay, so afterwards whatever the liquid cement which is run into the molds and cooled, so these castings are known as pigs. So here how they are going to manufacture this alumina cement, whatever from the casing they are going to erect or provide the heat, there it should be in a liquid state. So later that liquid or molten state formation of the cement content they are going to fill in the molds, and then we are going to cool that one for a period of time. So this casting process we can known it as pigs. And after cooling the cement was resembles a dark, I mean it turns into a dark color and fine gray compact rock that is resembling the structure and hardness of the ballast rock. And here the peaks of fused cement which are after the coolings which are crushed and then grounded into a tube mills to a fineness of about 3000 square centimeter square per gram. So here this fineness which is purely measured in terms of centimeter square per gram. For every gram, what will be the area of those particles? So that one they are going to find out. Yeah, so that's how they are going to measure this fineness. So here what they are going to do, they are going to place that one in the furnace. They will provide around 1500 degree 1550 degrees Celsius to 1600 degrees Celsius, and then it turns to a liquid state, and then that liquid state they are going to fill in the mold, and then they will cool that castings or those molds they are going to call it as pigs. And then after the cooling it is going to turn to a dark color, and then after the turning to the dark color they are going to crush those mold particles. Okay, so after crushing they should bring that one to a size of 3000 square centimeter per gram. So that one only we can call it as high alumina cement. That one how they are going to manufacture. So here you can see the different reactions they are going to take place in the manufacturing process, that is during the setting of the high alumina cement, that is HAC, what we can call high alumina cement. That is the formation of monocalcium aluminates and then decahydrate. So monocalcium, mono is nothing but single, one. You have studied in chemistry part, right? So monocalcium aluminates. So mono calcium both belongs to a single particles, and then de- decahydrate, deca is nothing but it stands for 10. Okay, decahydrates, so that's with the hydrogen particles. And then dicalcium aluminates octahydrate. So dicalcium in the sense two types of calciums, and then aluminate will be the singular again, and then octahydrate in the sense octa stands for 8. So these are again the which is going to form in the chemical reactions. And then at last it is going to provide alumina gel, that is AHN, which is in molten state, I mean in the liquid states. After this, these aluminates give high strength to high alumina concrete, high alumina cement concrete, but the aromates stable, and they are it's like metastable and at a normal temperature that is going to convert gradually to tricalcium alumina hexahydrate. So tricalcium alumina hexahydrate, and then which are more stable. Some spellings they are like we need to change it. So which are more stable with respect to these compounds. Okay, and here you can see the hydration and conversations there can also be shown as like this. So initially the monocalcium aluminates reacts with hydrated compounds with 10, so it is going to form monocalcium aluminates, decahydrates, and then here tricalcium aluminate. I mean 3 times of calcium, and then mono aluminates, which reacts with hydrated decahydrated compounds, that is H. It is going to give tricalcium alumina hexahydrate, and then the other compounds like AH3 as well as 18 compounds of hydrations, right? And then it should be noted that this reaction liberates all the water which is needed for the conversion process just to continue. So here in this particular reactions, you can see whatever the water which is required for the conversion process in the sense, I said in the molten state, it is going to come out from the furnace. Even though after providing that much amount of heat, which will come in the form of liquid state, or we can call it as molten state, because once the liquid got heated, it is called as the molten state. Yeah, and process to continue. So next, moving on to the next concept, that is properties of concrete. Sorry, cement. So here, my voice is audible to everyone, right? Even the slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Okay, the most important concepts in the module 1, that is properties of cement. You need to understand this thoroughly. This is much helpful for throughout your engineering concepts. Okay, so these are the different properties of the cements that is going to give the main characteristics of this cement. First one is fineness, followed by setting time, soundness, compressive strength, heat of hydration, which one you have already known. What is heat of hydration, how the reactions will take place, right? And then specific gravity, chemical properties of cement, and then insoluble residue. Yeah, we'll study one by one now. So here, fineness, which is nothing but the size of the cement particle or the dimensions of the cement particles. Actually, we can't measure, but togetherly by taking some amount, we can check the surface area of that cement particles. Okay, so here the fineness of cement, which is measure of the size of the particles of cement, and which is experts in terms of specific surface of cement, basically in the form of surface area, that is what I have given the particular name, that is centimeter square per gram, or even you can take in terms of kg. Okay, and then here it can be calculated from particle size distribution, or what we can call by using even C1 lasses, or one more method is there, that is air permeability method. So there in the air permeability method, we'll come to know which type of cement it is. I mean, what about the fineness of this cement, right? So either this fineness of the cement we can come to know by using particle size distribution, or else by air permeability method. So this air permeability method, which is there for your 5th semester in concrete and highway materials laboratory. Okay, that test you are going to study there. So here it is an important factor in determining the rate of gain of strength and uniformity in quality, right? So depends upon the this fineness, you will come to know that the strength of the cement and even the uniformity of the quality. So uniform strength is nothing but what? I will tell you one thing: how much finer particle of the cement is there, that much strength which is going to achieve, right? So if it is 3000 they have given, so that surface area which is more than the 3000, so whatever the strength which is going to achieve, that strength is going to increase, however the surface area is going to be increased, right? So and then once if it is with a finer particle, those particles should be unique in its nature. I mean, if all the surface area of the molecules are same, that time which is going to give with a good quality of the cement, because the similar particles are going to take similar time for the hydration process and even the completion of the hydration process. So that time all the structural members of the concrete or cements which will start the hydration process at the same time, and then it ends at the same time. Yeah, here the finer the cement, higher is the rate of the hydration. So however So this point, the finer the cement, the higher is the rate of the hydration. So however, you are going to decrease the cement particle size, for example, from 3000 to 5000. So that time what it happens, that leads increase in the heat of hydration, because whatever the surface area you are going to provide. So surface area in the sense, this is with a this point, no? No, this is finer than the coarse cement. This point I will explain. Before that, see this. This is the cement particles having 3000 centimeter square per gram. So this is the surface area. Clear? So now, if surface area is 5000 centimeter square per gram, so which means what? The surface, I mean the particle size will be lesser than this, right? So whatever the area you are going to get, once you break this area is around 3000, you can consider that this entire particles. But here, this particles surface area which will be 5000, when you have divided this entire particles, I mean when you have crushed still more, which is going to give more surface area. Clear? So that time, however you are going to crush and make that one into smaller particles, the rate of reaction or that heat of hydration which is going to increase. Okay, so that is available which is in chemical reaction. So however you are going to crush with a larger fineness, that time which is going to leads the higher heat of hydration. So here for a given weight of cement, that surface area is more for a finer cement than the coarser cement. So here, once you crush that cement particles into a finer part, that time the weight of the cement which will be higher than, I mean which will be higher in cement which is finer than the coarser cement. It's nothing but what? If you are not understanding this sentence, when the cement particles are in a larger size, so that time weight will be lesser. When the cement particles will be lesser for a given volume, it is going to take the larger volume, right? So that's the case how it is going to explain. Okay, and then this results in the early development of the strength. So however the fineness which is going to decrease, I mean you are going to make that one to the smaller molecule, that time which is going to give the larger strength. Clear? And if the cement is good beyond a certain limit, its cementative properties that may be adversely affected due to a prehydration and by atmospheric moisture. So it's nothing but what? If the cement which is placed directly on the ground, so that time which is going to extract the moisture content which is present in the environment, and then it is going to start the hydration process. You have not even added the water content to the cement, still which is going to absorb the moisture content which is present in the environment, and then it start processing with the heat of hydration process. So that leads a major disadvantage part in this, that is prehydration process. So here, as per the Indian standard specifications, the residue of cement, it should not exceed 10% when it is sieved on a 90 micron sieve size. So what they are telling, as per the Indian standard code book, for 1000 grams of cement, for 1 kg of cement, that residue, I mean whatever you have used the 90 micron sieve size, right? This is 90 micron sieve size. When you have passed this 1000 grams of cement in 90 micron sieve size, whatever the remaining particles will be there from this sieve size, it should not be more than 100 grams. Okay, so whatever the residue you are getting, I mean the particles which are more than the 90 microns, so that is gives the conditions. Okay, it should not be more than 10 percentage of original weight. Clear? And then in addition, the amount of water which is required for constant slump concrete, that is decreases with increase in the fineness of cement. That's nothing but what? When you have used the cement which is more than 10% of the residue, that is going to give I mean the slump value which is going to be reduced. So this particular point, once you will come to know the fresh concrete part, what is a slump, and then how it is going to affect these finest particles in achieving the slump. Okay, slump is again, diploma students might be knowing this. It's with a particular cone shape. Start with the dimension 10 is the top diameter, this is bottom diameter, and the height will be 30 centimeters. So when you want to achieve the maximum strength after removing this slump cone, right? I mean the maximum height of retaining of that concrete structures. So these all things it will be matters in the fineness part. I will explain these concepts in the fresh concrete part so that the things will get clear. And next property, that is setting time. So this is most important property of the cement, and you need to concentrate more on this particular setting time. So here, sorry, here the cement when mixed with the water that forms paste, which gradually becomes less plastic, and finally a hard mass is obtained. So this is a basic concept of the cement. So for the cement, you are going to add the required amount of water, correct? So after adding water to the cement, what it happens? That is going to set, right? So once the hydration process completes, which is going to form with a plastic state, and then it is going to be hardened. Okay, so that's the state of this cement. Okay, so in this process, the time taken to get set of that cement, so that one we can call it as the setting time. So in this process of setting, a stage which is reached when the cement paste is sufficiently rigid, that is to withstand the definite amount of pressure. So once you apply certain amount of pressure, it should not changes its a particular place. You can take any, in any bowl you can place with the cement paste, and then you can check by applying certain cement. It should not get move from, I mean that particle, it should not move from one place to other place with certain undulations like this. Okay, and here the time to reach this stage is termed as setting time. So after certain applying certain pressure, that volume it should not get changes. So once that cement reach to that place, and whatever the time taken to reach that particular stage, that one we can call it as setting time. So here the time is reckoned from the instant when water is added to the cement. So this time it will starts when soon after adding water to the cement. So whatever that time you are going to measure, from when you are going to measure soon after adding water to the cement content, that setting time will get start. And here the setting time, which is divided in two parts, basically initial setting time and then final setting time. Okay, these are the most important concepts, and even you are having certain tests on two these two setting times, initial setting time as well as final setting times, in your fifth semester. And I'm going to ask the same questions for you people, like what I have explained here. So concentrate more on this. So here the time at which the cement paste loses its plasticity is termed as initial setting time. So plasticity in the sense the workable state of the cement. So soon after adding the water, it will be in a liquid state for a period of time. So when it is going to loses its plasticity, I mean that the liquid state, what it is going to reach to the hardened state. So that particular time we can call it as initial setting time. Okay, so initial setting time, why we require this in a proper construction works means, by using this cement you can carry out various works, like you can construct column, you can construct beam slabs as a plastering material, right, as a mortar in between the masonry work, correct? So here whatever the time it is going to take to complete the all the activities of the concrete. So for example, cement you are going to add with coarse aggregate as well as fine aggregate. Okay, so once you add water to that, which start with a hydration process, and then it is going to set. So soon after adding to cement to the ingredients, you have to mix that. and you have to transport that one from the mixing place to the required location, and then you need to place that one to the required location, and then you should compact without any gaps between the structures, and then you need to level that. So to complete these all concrete or cement activities, that concrete, it should maintain some mobile state, I mean some liquid state. So we need to find out the initial setting time, such that we need to come to know that at what time that concrete will get hardened initially. I mean, at what time that concrete or cement which loses its plasticity part. Okay, and here the time taken to reach the stage when the paste becomes a hard mass, which is known as the final setting time. So here at the initial setting time, which loses its property and it turns to a paste formation. Okay, so now that paste which becomes hard mass, so that is known as the final setting time. Clear? And then here, which is essential for proper concreting, that the initial setting time to be sufficiently long for finishing operations, that is transportation and placing of the concrete. So within this particular activities, that concrete should be sufficiently liquid in its nature, then only we can work easily with those materials. And here the setting that is going to process, which is accompanied by the temperature changes. The temperature rises rapidly from the initial setting to a peak value at the final setting. The setting time decreases with rise in temperature up to 30 degrees Celsius and vice versa. So here this temperature also that is matters in the setting time. So however the temperature increases, simultaneously that setting time also which is going to be decreased, and similarly vice versa. And here for an ordinary Portland cement, they have given the condition that initial setting time, it should not be less than 30 minutes. The most asked questions in Viva, what's the initial setting time, right? So within this 30 minutes, this concrete, it should not loses its plasticity, right? So that particular time we can call it as initial setting time. And as per the Indian standard recommendations, it should not be less than 30 minutes. And similarly, they have given condition and limitations even for final setting time. As per the Indian standard code books, the final setting time should not be more than 600 minutes. Okay. So here a phenomenon of abnormal premature hardening within a few minutes of mixing the water is termed as false set. So here whatever the initial set which is going to call, right? So and some part of the concrete or cement which is going to harden earlier time than the other part of the concrete. So here this particular place which is going to harden initially. So this set we can call it as the false set. Okay. And here in practice, the length of the time for which a concrete mixtures will remain plastic, which is usually more dependent on the amount of mixing water that is used and atmospheric pressure than on the setting time of the cement. So here that initial setting time, that is this 30 minutes, which is purely dependent upon the amount of water added to this. So when you have added more water, of course it will be, this initial setting time will be more than 30 minutes. Clear? Wait for a second. Sorry. So purely this initial setting time, that is dependent upon by adding the mixing of water, how much amount of water you will be adding. So that much it is going to increase its setting time. And then the soundness. So soundness, it's like the property where the change in volume of the cement, what you can see, that one we can be measured in various, by conducting various tests. That is the unsoundness of a cement that is caused by the undesirable expansion of the some of its constituents sometimes after setting. So here what it happens, this particular property which comes after the setting of cement, I mean the after final setting, after one day, 600 minutes in the sense, 10 hours you can consider. So you can consider 1 day now. So after 1 day or 10 hours after the cement or concrete will gets hardened, so that time that concrete which changes in its volume, right? So initially before setting it will be having a full of this mold, and once it gets hardened, the concrete it will changes in its volume like this, right? So that is because of what? Improper usage of the cement there, right? So here the large change in the volume that is accompanying in the expansion results, they are disintegration and severe cracking. So once the it changes, the whatever the volume changes you can see in the cement structures or concrete structures, that is leads in the severe cracking in the structures. So here the unsoundness is due to the presence of free lime and magnesia in the cement content. So free lime in the sense, so the cement whatever you will obtain from blast furnace slag, sorry, no, not blast furnace slag, whatever you are going to obtain from in the form of clinker, right? So once you get the clinker from rotary kiln, so these all are the clinker particles. So here among these you can get some particles which are called as free lime, means they are purely rich in lime content, but it's not properly mixed or grinded with some other clinker particles. So these free lime, what you can see here, so that expansion or unsoundness, whatever you can call, that will causes by using this free lime. And even the magnesia which is present in the cement. So that free lime which reacts with the magnesia Mg which is present in the raw material of cement, and then it forms this unsoundness. Okay. So here the free lime hydrates very slowly because it is covered by a thin film of cement, that which prevents the direct contact between lime and water. So here this whatever the lime you can see free lime. So this free lime it is going to attach with cement particles, correct? So once this free lime wants to react with the water, that hydration process will takes larger time because water first it needs to reach the top layer which is occupied by the cement particles, and then it should reaches to the lime content. Clear? So that time it takes a larger time to complete the hydration process so that the change of volume may occurs. And here, the after the setting of the cement, the moisture which penetrates into the free lime and resulting in its will be the hydration process. So even the moisture content which is from the environment, that is also going to penetrate within this free lime, and then that decides the heat of hydration time. And then here since the staked lime occupies a large volume, the expansion takes place resulting in the severe cracking. So here what it is going to happen, so this lime, staked lime in the sense, this is pure lime, that is calcium oxide, when it reacts with water, right, which is going to occupy a large volume. I mean, whatever the volume you are going to get, that volume will be higher, and which is going to expand that total volume. So after the expansion of the total volume, so here whatever the adjacent structures are there, which is going to disturb that structural element, and then it forms cracks within the concrete structures. And here the unsoundness due to a presence of magnesia, which is similar to that of lime. So here this even this magnesia chemical also that is going to cause this unsoundness within the structures. Unsoundness in the sense expansion in the concrete volume or cement volume structures. Here the unsoundness that may be reduced by how you are going to control this. So here which is going to limit the magnesium oxide content, and it should be less than 0.5% in the cement content. So here whatever the raw materials you are going to use in the manufacture of the cement, that time you need to check what is the percentage of this magnesium oxide. If it is present within that, only 0.5% is permissible. You cannot remove this entire magnesium oxide from the raw material. So if it is present also, we need to restrict that one to 0.5%. Okay, and then we should go for fine grinding. Fine grinding in the sense that whatever the free lime will be available in the clinker part, that it should not happen. So even that free lime also, it should mixed with the other clinker particles. Clear? And then allowing the cement to aerate for several days. Means what it happens, if something which is present like free limes and all, which is going to absorb easily with the moisture content, and then that hydration process will get complete before using that, so that free lime will get finishes its term within the structure. Through a proper mixing also, we can reduce this unsoundness. So several tests they are conducted on this soundness. There are two tests what we can see. One is Lee Chatelier experiment, one more is autoclave test. So as per this test, the expansion carried out in the manner that is described in the Indian Standard Code books named as IS 269 in the year 1989, and as per the results, it should not be more than 10 mm in Lee Chatelier test. So that test I am going to explain in the further class. So in that soundness test, that volume or that size, it should not be more than 10 mm. Okay, and similarly in the autoclave aerated apparatus, that results, it should not be 0.8% in the autoclave test. Okay, it should not be more than 0.8% in autoclave test, and it should not be more than 10 mm in Lee Chatelier's test. And then the compressive strength, the main aspect of cement, that is strength. So however you are going to use any materials, ultimately it should achieve the proper strength within the structures, but it should not affect to the other properties of the cement. Clear? So here the concrete compression tests are conducted on the standardized aggregate under carefully controlled conditions, and therefore it should give a good indication on the strength qualities of the cement. So here a proper type of aggregates are available, only that those aggregates you need to consider for the testing purpose, and even for the usage in the different applications of the cement as well as the concrete. So then only you can achieve the better compressive strength when you have used the cement. And here, to check the compressive strength of the cement, we are going to prepare mortar. You can ask the question, sir, mortar, you know, right? Mortar is mixture of cement, sand, and optimum content of water, right? So when you can ask the questions to me like this, sir, we are going to find out property of the cement, but why we are going to consider mortar here, right? Even sand also will be coming there. So then we'll find out the compressive strength. So you need to think in this way, where we are going to use this cement, either in concrete or in mortar. So where the strength aspects will get depends a lot. So basically in the concrete and even in mortar, so where the masonry load is going to be applied on those mortar layers. Clear? And only if you have used cement as well as the water, that expansions will take place, and soon after the setting time, and even the cracks will get appears after the final setting time. Okay, so we are going to use sand along with this cement, and then we are going to find out the compressive strength of cement. Okay, so here cement mortar cubes we need to manufacture or prepare by taking 1:3 as a proportion. So here 1 stands for cement, and then 3 stands for sand. Okay, 1 stands for cement and 3 stands for sand. Okay, so that is having an area of 5,000 mm square, which are prepared and tested in compression testing machine. That is by using CTM machine, which when you have used in third semester BMT lab. By using that machine, we can test on these cubes, and then we can check the compressive strength of this mortar. Okay, so here they have given 5000 mm square. So how this 5000 mm square will be there? Actual size of the cement mold will be 70.7 by 70.7, that by 70.7, that is in terms of mm. Okay, so this is length, breadth, height. So when you want to consider area, you can consider length and breadth, so that the area will be coming. So this one it gives with this 5000 mm square. Okay, so within this particular mold having size of 70.7, 70.7 by 70.7, we need to fill the cement as well as the sand mortar by taking in proportion 1:3. Okay, so for ordinary Portland cement, the compression strength at 3 and 7 days curing, that shall not be less than 16 MPa and 22 MPa respectively. So here you can consider OPC cement for this mixture. Okay, and then the compression strength, whatever you are going to achieve for 3 days, it should not be less than 16 MPa, and for 7 days it should not be less than 22 MPa. So this 3 and 7 days are nothing but the curing. So after the preparing of the mold, we need to place that one in the water bath for the curing process. So after the curing process of several days, like 3 days and 7 days, that strength it should be more than the given one. For 3 days of curing, it should be more than 16 MPa, and for 7 days of curing, it should be more than 22 MPa. Okay, and here the graded standard sand which is used for the preparing the cubes, it should confirm IS 650 1991. So here while selection of sand also we need to take care a lot. That sand it should confirm this particular code book. Okay, so as per this code book, what are the specifications they have given? We need to consider the this particular sand, that is 1:3 what we have studied now. So these three proportions we need to consider by taking the specifications from IS 650 1991. Okay, so here that is a sand what we can call as a standard sand, right? So here you can see the graded sand used for the preparing the cubes, it should confirm IS 650 1991. This sand only we can call it as standard sand. Okay, that standard sand how it should be. Okay, a particular variety of the sand which is available at Tamil Nadu state, especially in the place Ennore, right? So in Ennore, that sand will be available. So that is used as the standard sand, which closely resembles the Licton Buzzard sand. Specifically, they have used the what we can call the British standard sand, right? So this particular Ennore sand, which is going to match the property of that British standard sand. So only we can use this Ennore sand in finding out the compressive strength of the cement. So this Ennore sand that should have, it should be with a quartz. I mean, these are the materials which should get present in that standard sand, and it should looks light gray or even whitish variety, and shall be free from silt content. Silt content in the sense dust particles, what it will get from the sand. So those dust particles should be in less percentage, and then the sand grain shall be angular with a shape approximating to a spherical form. So all the molecules of the sand, it should be approximately spherical in its structure, and then the sand that shall passes IS 850 micron sieves and not more than 10% shall pass through IS 600 micron sieve. So here you need to consider the cement in this way. So sorry, sand in this way. For example, you are going to take 1:3 formation of the sand and cement. So here cement you are going to consider around 200. What about the sand will be 600. Okay, 600 grams. So one which stands for cement, and here sand stands for, I mean 3 stands for sand. Okay, This 600 gram, how they are going to consider? They are going to take in three parts, right? So first one, it starts with passing from 2 mm and retained on 1 mm. So that is of quantity 200 grams. Okay. And then next 1 mm passing, and then 500 micron retained. So the sand, it should, that should passes 1 mm passing and then 500 micron retained. That is also 200 grams. And then third sieve, 500 micron passing and then 90 microns retained. So that is of 200 grams. So total 600 grams, right? This 600 grams we need to take in this sieves. So then only we can consider that is a standard sand. Okay, and then it shall be free from organic impurities, so that whatever the chemical reactions will take place, that should be reduced when we use the standard sand. Okay, and then the heat of hydration. Obviously, you know what is heat of hydration. That is the chemical reactions. It is going to take place when the cement reacts with the water. Okay, so here the silicates and the aluminates of the cement, that is reacts with the water just to form a binding medium, and that is going to solidify it into a hardened mass. So once it completes the hydration process, it turns to hardened mass. And then so this reactions, which is termed hydration, which is exothermic, I mean whatever the liberation of the heat will be there at the exterior part, so that is with approximately 120 calorie per gram that is going to be liberated. So this is for normal heat of hydration. And then the heat of hydration defined as the quantity of the heat which is given in calories per gram of the hydrated cement. So that heat, whatever it is going to liberate, they are going to measure in terms of calorie per gram. That one only we can call it as the heat of hydration. And whatever the liberated heat, that is going to complete the hydrations at a given temperature. So even the room temperature or whatever that heat of hydration is going to takes place with a particular temperature. That temperature also, it matters a lot in heat of hydration process. And then a normal cement generally produces approximately 90 calorie per gram of heat in 7 days and 90 to 100 calorie per gram in 28 days. So here that is the liberations of the heat in terms of calorie per gram. So for 7 days they are going to provide 90 calorie per grams heat, but in 28 days they are going to give, I mean that cement which is going to liberate 90 to 100 calorie per gram. Okay, yes. Here the heat of hydration for low heat Portland cement, it should not be more than 66 to 75 calorie per gram. So the name only indicates that low heat Portland cement. So there the liberation of heat, it should not be more than 66 to 75 calorie per gram. I'm sorry, 66 for 7 days, and then 75 it is for 28 days. Okay, so it should not reaches this particular limits. And here the heat of hydration, that is increases with temperature at which the hydration takes place. For example, you are going to mix a particular cement as well as the water at one place. There you are having high temperature around 40 degrees Celsius, and there in one more place you are going to mix that cement and water. There the temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. But here the heat of hydration, of course it is going to takes a lot of heat where you are having more temperature, I mean the higher temperature, where you are having 40 degrees Celsius. No, there this heat of hydration will takes place a lot. Okay, that is in terms of calorie per gram. So here for ordinary Portland cement, it varies from 37 calorie per grams at 5 degrees Celsius to 80 calorie per gram as 40 degree Celsius. So where you are having 5 degrees Celsius, there the same cement and the same water which is going to liberate 37 calorie per gram. But similarly, when you have to mix that one with 40 degrees Celsius, which will be 80 calorie per gram. Just assume how it is going to liberate the heat. Where you are having 5 degrees Celsius, that heat of hydration will be 37 calorie per gram. Where you are having 40 degrees Celsius, that heat of hydration will be 80 calorie per gram. Okay. And here for common type of Portland cement. Okay. So for common type of Portland cement, 50% of the total heat which is liberated between 1 to 3 days. So within 1 to 3 days, whatever the 80 calorie per gram heat is going to be liberated. So in that 50% means 40 calorie per gram, which is going to liberate within 1 to 3 days itself. Within 3 days, at 40 calorie per gram of heat which is going to liberate. But here 75% in 7 days and 83 to 91% in 6 days. So here 50% will completes in 3 days, whereas 75% of the heat in 7 days, and then 83 to 91% of heat in next 6 months. Just see the heat of hydration process. Within first 1 to 3 days only, which is going to liberate 50% of the heat, whereas for after the 7 days, which is going to liberate 75% of the heat. But to elaborate 83 to 91% of the heat, which is going to take 6 months. Clear? So heat of liberation or that heat of hydration process will be there for a period of time up to 6 months. You can see here. Even though the 6 months got over, that heat of hydration, it will not be complete with 100%. It is going to reaches with 83 to 91. So in initial days, what you are going to see? This someone texted. Whether it's audible? Shiny color, please. You want to ask something?
So audible.
It's audible, no? Right. So it's audible, it's not audible.
It's on audible, sir.
Audible. Okay. So just think to carry out this heat of hydration process, how much time it is going to take. So for 1 to 3 days, 50% will get completes. For 75% of heat liberation, it takes 7 days. Whereas 83 to 91%, which is going to take 6 months of time. So it is like the gradual process. Initial time only, it is going to liberate the maximum heat of hydration up to a 50%, half of the total heat of hydration, right? So here, by restricting the quantities of the compounds like tricalcium, aluminate as well as dicalcium silicate in the cement, the rate of heat liberation in early ages that can be controlled. So here in the early ages, whatever which is going to exhibit the 50% of the heat, so that one it can be reduced by limiting this C3A compound and C2S compound, right? So these are the box compounds, right? So that one we need to maintain properly. So here the rate of hydration and heat liberation that is increases with the fineness of the cement, but the total amount of heat liberated is unaffected by the fineness. So here the total amount of heat which is nowhere concerning with respect to the fineness, but here whatever the the rate of hydration that is going to give at the early stage, right? So that liberates, I mean, liberation increases with fineness of the cement. So however the particle size is lesser, that much heat of liberation it is going to take place a lot. Okay. So here fineness also it is going to matters a lot during the heat of hydration process. So specific gravity, that is a general property of all the materials. So here the specific gravity of Portland cement, which is generally about 3.15. This is a standard specific gravity of the cement. It should be 3.15. So, but that of the cement manufactured from materials other than the limestone and clay, the value may vary. So, if they have used the other raw materials than the given one, that is argillaceous material as well as the calcareous materials. So other than these materials, if they have used different materials, this 3.15 which is going to vary. Okay, so that is with respect to specific gravity. And here the specific gravity is not an indication of the quality of the cement. It is used in the calculations of the mixed proportion. So here, if the specific gravity of the cement is more, then you can use the less quantity of the cement. Where in the concrete mix design, if the specific gravity is less, then the quantity of the cement you have to be used more to achieve the better quality. Understanding? If you are having specific gravity 3.15, that is sufficient so that you can use less content of cement so that you can achieve the better quality. And then if the specific gravity of the cement is 2.9, then that time you need to increase more cement quantity than the specific gravity having 3.15. Clear? So basically this one it will be used in the mixed design concepts, which one you are going to study in module 4. Okay. So this is last property, chemical properties of the cement, the loss on ignition test which is carried on the Portland cement. So just to determine the loss of weight when the sample is heated 900 degrees Celsius to 1000 degrees Celsius. So basically this part will becomes in a manufacturing process. Clear? So once you provide certain amount of heat like 900 degrees Celsius to 1000 degrees Celsius, so how much percentage of the raw materials it will get waste, right? So that is in the formation of the chemicals. So only the proper proportion of the cement which are going to mix up and remaining thing it will get burnt up. Okay. So that is how much percentage of chemicals which will get losses during the ignition test. So here the loss in weight that is occurs as the moisture and the carbon dioxide which are present in the combination with free lime or magnesia which is going to evaporate. So here the loss in weight. So even not only the chemical formation which is going to loss during the ignition process, even the weight of the material also that is going to loss, that is because of the moisture content as well as the carbon dioxide which is present in the environment. So there also which is going to react with that moisture content and the heat of hydration will takes place, and that particular portion which is nowhere going to be useful in the concrete procedure. So I mean, so only what they are going to do, whenever you are going to use the cement, then only you need to open that cement bag. So once you open that cement bag and keep it in the storage area, it will get hardened. So why it is going to get hardened? Which is going to absorb the moisture content which is present in the environment. So that time that hydration process takes place slowly there. Correct? So that time it will get hardened. Clear? So only you can see the cement, it will get hardened in the earlier time. Even though you have packed it tightly, some or in other ways, that moisture will enter into that bag and it started hardening process. Here, the presence of moisture that is causes the prehydration of the cement and may be absorbed from the atmosphere during the manufacturing or the afterwards process. Okay, as I told now, because of the moisture which is present in the environment, that hydration process will start at the earlier time and then it gets hardened. And here the carbon dioxide is also taken from the atmosphere so that the loss in weight is a measure of the freshness of the cement. So you can measure the freshness of the cement by this loss on ignition and the loss on weight test. So normally the loss will be about 2%. Maximum allowable loss will be 4%. It's nothing but what, when you have used 50 kg of cement and the permissible loss it is only with 2%. Okay, and even though if it is 4%, if it is loosened from that particular bag, even though that is permissible but not more than 4%. Insoluble residue. So the insoluble material is an inactive part of the cement. So as I told, which one is the inactive part of the cement? Anybody knows? In previous classes, I've explained. Insoluble material is an inactive part of the cement. Which is the inactive part of the cement? And somebody? Once you raise the hand and your things got cleared, you can lower the hand on the thing so that we'll come to know. Shanikala. Once the things got over, you can lower the hand. There is one option there. Which one is the inactive part of the cement? Can somebody? I told, right? Along with the CSH gel, one chemical will be formed. So that is nowhere it is going to helpful in the cement part. Calcium hydroxide, CaOH twice. Correct? So that is the insoluble material, what we can call. So here it is determined by stirring 1 gram of cement in 40 ml of water by adding 10 ml of concentrated HCl. It is not HEL, it is HCl. Okay. So here how we should find out the chemical property of the cement, that is the total content of insoluble residue. That is by determining by stirring of 1 gram of cement along with that 40 ml of water and adding 10 ml of HCl. So we'll take 40 ml of water, 10 ml of HCl, we'll mix that thoroughly and then we'll add 1 gram of cement to that. So here after that, that entire mixture that contained with 1 gram of cement, 40 ml of water and then 10 ml of concentrated HCl. We need to boil that one for 10 minutes, maintaining the constant volume so that it should not get evaporate. Clear? And any lumps, if it is present, is broken and the solution filtered. So once, if anything, it formed with the HCl as well as the water and it formed with the lumps in the sense that it should be broken and the solution should be filtered. So here the residue on the filter is washed with Na2CO3, right? NO2CO3, that is sodium carbonate. Clear? So by using this sodium carbonate, we can wash that particular residue and then water and HCl is given in order and finally again with the water. So once you wash this sodium carbonate, again you need to wash that one by using the water. Then you need to use the filter paper for the drying purpose and then ignition we need to provide and waited to give the insoluble residue. So that time you will come to know that total percentage of insoluble residue. So here they have given the conditions. The minimum the residue, the better is the cement. So whatever the residue you will get, I mean the improper or inactive part of the cement, clear? That percentage it should be lesser. So then only we can say that quality of the cement will be good. Okay. The maximum allowable value is 0.85%. So that's the limitations they have given for this. Clear? So these are the properties of cement. Any doubt? So we'll end for today. If you're having any doubts, can somebody please? Somnath, you have raised the hand. Somnath, Chandagi. You can lower the hand if you don't have any queries. If you're having any doubts, just you can raise the hand, else you can ask the questions. Yes, if you don't have any doubts, just place your name and USN in the chat box and then you can disconnect the call.